Hello, everyone, and welcome to Intrusive Thoughts by Adam Rippon. I am Adam Rippon, and if you are listening to this podcast, I sound the same. I sound better than ever. Let's even just say that. If you are watching this podcast, you might see this is another new background. Well, I'm happy to announce to everyone, whether you are watching this or just listening, I am happy to announce to the entire nation and to the world that this is the very first episode of Intrusive Thoughts to take place from the country of Finland, from the continent of Europe. Yeah, this is it. This podcast records worldwide. Because this, like I said, we are recording from Finland. So hello from Finland. Hello, Finland. I am at our cottage. And I'm totally okay. I know I'm speaking right now like I am a hostage. I'm blinking in Morse code. But I'm just saying hello in Morse code with my eyelashes. So it's all good. Here's the thing. So as you know, if you've been listening to the podcast, if this is your first time listening, hello. Yes, sometimes we record in Finland. It's not a big deal. And sometimes we don't, right? Sometimes we mostly record like in my office. But if you have been listening to the podcast, you know that for the past few weeks, I have been experimenting with recording in different places of my house because I have absolute free reign of what goes on over there because my husband has been away in Finland. So I think mostly everybody, if you listen to this, you must know. But if not, my husband is from Finland. And before we got married, he decided that he wanted to build a cottage so that we would always have like a place here and so that he always felt like he was coming home when he was coming back to Finland. And so he built this place a few years ago, however long we've been married, which I can't remember. 1, 2, 3, 4 years, 3 years, one of them. Anywhere between 3 to 5 years, which is usually like if you have to choose like an option, it's like, 1 to 2 years, 3 to 5 years. We're on the 3 to 5 year kind of plan at the moment. So he built this cottage before he moved to California. And he's been coming back like every summer. And a lot of his work he can do remotely. So I always encourage him. I'm like, no, just like spend as much time as you want here over the summer. Because a lot of times, like when we're home, like I'm running around and working and doing a bunch of stuff, and he's really great because he'll like help take care of all the stuff at home. And so I always feel like this time in the summer, it's like it's my time to give back, because I'm giving and I'm thoughtful. I'm a good partner, right? Try to be. I start crying. It's okay. I have to share something with you. Aside from the fact that we are in Finland, we're recording this episode from Helsinki, Finland. There is a dark side to what I'm telling you right now. And the dark side is that I just landed maybe, 2 hours ago. So I'm doing this fresh off of the plane. And I want you to know why. And it's because I, if anything, love to stay dedicated to a schedule and like prove people that I can do anything. And I did promise, when we record, I like to stay on a schedule. And I was letting everybody know at podcast 1 when I was going to Finland. And when I was talking to a few people there, they were like, oh, so you're not going to record? I said, absolutely not. That is absolutely not what's going to happen, right? That's not what's going to happen. You wouldn't even know that I'm gone, right? You won't even know because I'm bringing that mic with me. I'm bringing it across the ocean, and there's no days off. Intrusive thoughts don't stop when we travel. In fact, I would say that they only continue. They only continue. Now, what can you expect in this, the first international episode? I think kind of not much. About the same sort of shtick that we do when we're stateside, right? When we're in the lower 48. That's kind of what we do. But one thing you can absolutely stay tuned for is, before I recorded this, I want you to know that on the plane, that flight is like about 11 hours. I didn't sleep a wink on that flight. And at this point in time, I have been awake for 24 solid hours. I'm a good old American guy. I can do that. I can stay up for 24 hours. I don't feel bad at all. I want you to know that before I started recording, though, I did feel like my brain getting hot in a way that it was sort of turning itself into like fossil fuel. But I said, you know what? I promised myself that I would do that. I'm acting like it's, I've told myself I had to go to the mines to, get coal and not just sit down and record a podcast. But you know what? Whatever. So I said, I promised myself I would do this. I'm going to stay on schedule. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to stay on schedule. And I'll let you know as soon as I hit the record button, something inside me, I'm on right now borrowed time. I can feel it. I am sort of like on the reserve drive, but I'm having fun so far. So we'll see how it goes. We will just see how this goes. Yeah, didn't sleep. Not even a wink. I had to fly. And I want you to know, before this podcast started, I really hadn't traveled much, if at all, in like a year or so. And now I feel like every episode is just sort of like airport themed. I don't mean for it to be that way. It's the way the cookie crumbles. There's not much I can there's not much I can do about it. But it's all right. It is absolutely all right. Which kind of leads me into the first text message of the day. All right. Hi, Adam. Carrie from Portland. Hi, Carrie. First, love the pear martini. I told my niece that is a bartender, and she is serving it up this summer. Yum. Yeah, that pear martini, I can't even tell you the amount of people who have reached out about that pear martini. It is delicious. Delicious and delicious. It's incredible. So, my intrusive thought for the summer stems from the Delta podcast and flying. Here we go. Now that you have to fly in the middle and back of the plane, first of all, how dare you? I need to know your thoughts on reclining seats. I took a 6-hour flight to Hawaii this summer. Immediately after takeoff, the 3 seats in front of me, I'll say that again. This is sort of like the exhaustion is kicking in. And I don't have my glasses on. I do need the reading glasses. Oh, wait, can I tell you something first? So I recently, every once in a while, like a brand will reach out personally. I'm a hot commodity on those social media platforms. I don't know what it was exactly, but it was like a LASIK company who reached out to me. And they said, we see you're wearing glasses. Would you like to fix that? And I didn't respond because I didn't have the heart to tell them, honey, I already got the LASIK. I already got the LASIK. I already got it. We're wearing these glasses because of the cataracts. So unless it's like, they were like LASIK USA. I'm like, unless you're cataract USA, yeah, we really can't talk. But I will take whatever amount of money that you want to offer, and I'll pretend like I'm getting it because I got it already. But where were you when I wanted to do the full rebrand of my body? Right? Where were you when I said we got to fix this thing up head to toe? And let's start with the eyes. Because I know where I was, and I was paying for that out of pocket. So you were nowhere to be found. Except 3 years later, you see me wearing readers, right? Not really helpful. But I will do sort of an actor's interpretation of what it was like when I got the LASIK, if we want to do that. But there's no need now. Like I said, that was out of pocket. Kind of just like your message, a bit out of pocket. You should have been there when I needed you and you weren't. All right, back to Carrie and back to Portland. All right, here's the deal. I took a 6-hour flight to... It's so much easier to read this with the readers. Okay. I took a 6-hour flight to Hawaii this summer. Immediately after takeoff, 3 seats in front of me. Bam, 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 reclined. I was seated in the window seat, feeling claustrophobic, and then saw that none of them were sleeping, but watching Trump videos the whole time. Ugh. Talk about intrusive thoughts. Anyway, to recline or not to recline? That is my question. Thanks. Love the podcast. You make me laugh. All right, Carrie. One, what can you do about the Trump videos? Nothing. There have been flights that I've been on recently where I don't watch Fox News. I've never watched Fox News. I never will watch Fox News. But sometimes I will watch someone watching Fox News when I'm on a plane that has like Fox News. And I got to tell you, the commercials on these different networks are obviously geared towards the audience that's watching. And the Fox News audience knows that who is watching has got one foot in the grave and the other on a banana peel. Because they are trying to milk these people dry on their way out. Because I'll tell you that from being on a flight, being behind someone who's watching Fox News, it's like, buy your family plot today. Your family plot. It's like bury your whole family. It's like 2-for-1 earns. Like these are the ads that are on Fox News. And they're obviously, and then it's like the Mr. Pillow, Will Lindell, whatever his name is, who's peddling some sort of new product that's already been invented, but like has his name on it. And then it's, some Bibles, right? So it's like urns, family plots, 2-for-1 cremations and pillows. And I got to it's crazy. It's a bit cuckoo. It really is cuckoo. So there's nothing you can do about that. You just the borrowed time. Okay. It's 6 feet under, about to be. They're about 2 feet under, walking their way down. All right. 3 seats in front of you. Bam, bam, bam. This is what I think. I think that I'm not really one to recline when I'm sitting like in economy, right? One, because sometimes I'm in the last row and I can't, right? Because there's no place to recline when your back is literally up against the wall. They don't let you do that. They go, sir, there's no recline button, right? If you want to recline, slide down the seat a bit and crunch your neck up. That's how you're going to recline. But I feel like if the seats in front of you recline, listen, here's the thing. This is like, I don't want to say this because like I hate what I'm about to say. The seats recline, and if they can recline, you should recline them, right? It's fair. If it wasn't fair, they wouldn't have the option to recline. So I think it's like absolutely crazy to ask somebody to not recline the seat when really it's like we're talking about 2 to 3 inches of a little back, right? It's not like somebody's in your lap waiting to get like a head massage. They don't go back that far. And so unfortunately, yeah, you can feel like stuck and like they're taking away your space. But I think what you got to do is like, if they recline, you have to recline to like, you need to like reclaim your space. So if somebody's reclining, you've got to fight fire with bending back and reclining. So that's how you deal with that. So I know that that's like not what we want to hear. We want to hear like, hey, get that thing up, right? But no, if the seat can recline, they're allowed to recline. The Trump's a different story, right? Like they shouldn't be watching that. They should be reading a book or sleeping since they're reclining. But that's the thing. If they recline, you should recline too. I know you're going to feel weird about it if you don't want to, but listen, then the people behind you, they've got to do the same thing then just recline. You'll get the same amount of space. You'll get the space back. Nobody's telling you to sit there like a crash dummy. So I think that if nobody's reclining, I'm kind of taking the lead. I don't want to be the one. I'm only taking the lead and starting the reclining if it's like a morning flight. If I'm exhausted, if I really need to get sleep, I am... Talking about sleep, here we go. We're hitting the 25th hour. But if I really need sleep, then I'm going to recline. I'm going to go, sorry, I'm going to be the one to start this. And then we go down. So that's what I think about the reclining. And I know it can feel taboo, but got to do what you got to do, right? All right, here we go. Next text message. I was looking for the one I was looking for. Also, everybody, great job. We're really stepping it up with the text messages. This is like so fantastic. And if you want to text the podcast, you can at 310-909-7117. And if you're texting from out of the country, kind of like how this is being recorded, that's +1 310-909-7117. Let's get into this next text message. Okay. You're starting to watch The Decline. All right. So I'm going to need you to just kind of go with it. There's going to be a few slurred words. There's going to be a few wrong words. But I'm doing the right thing. All right? I'm doing the right thing. Here we go. Hi, Adam. We have a situation. I'm going to lay it all out for you and would really appreciate any guidance. They did not write really. I added that in for some flair. So they just want guidance. They don't really want it. Okay. So our downstairs neighbors have been making noise complaints about our son since he started crawling. He just turned 2. They specifically take issue with the sound of his footsteps on the hardwood floors. Wanting to be a good neighbor, we have arranged rugs and playmats in the area where he spends the most time, and we redirect him if he's being stompy or something. But honestly, we're out and about more than we're home. And yet, they continue to pound on our door every month or so to shout over us about how we need to teach our son to walk quietly so they can sleep in. We are talking about a toddler who wakes up at 7:30 a.m. When they went to the HOA about this, note, they are owners and we are renters. The board told them that noise complaints cannot be made against children under 6 per the building bylaws. Now these downstairs neighbors want to hire a lawyer to change the bylaws. One last critical detail to know is that these neighbors teach music lessons out of their home. We have never complained about their noise, including the year we had to endure hearing "Don't Stop Believing" on the piano every day. Please advise. Thank you so much. Okay, I off the bat want to say that these people sound miserable. They sound like awful people. Because this is what I think. Listen, if you are in a situation where you share walls, you share ceilings, you share floor, whatever, in a communal situation, right? Townhome, apartment building, if that is the situation, you've got to deal with it, right? You're not fucking Jeff Bezos. If you're Jeff Bezos, then you can afford to live in the middle of fucking nowhere where there are going to be no footsteps, but you can't. So you have to live in a townhouse like most people do. I live in a townhouse and I fucking love it. And I love sharing a wall with someone. Do I hear my neighbor running up and down her stairs? Sometimes. I'm sure she hears me doing something in my house that I'm never going to ask her. But that's the point, right? I don't live in a house. I don't want to live in a house. I do, but I don't, right? That's just the situation I'm in, and I got to take it with a grain of salt. I know that my neighbor's not in there with two pots banging them together, right? Like, I know that she's not doing that, and she knows that whatever she's hearing on our side, that we're not doing that either. I think that especially it's like with a baby. Your son is 2 years old. What the fuck do they want him to do? He's going to be walking around. And if you set up the carpets and everything, first of all, get a grip. And second of all, like the pitter patter of a 2-year-old on the hardwood floor, I can imagine even like if he's like stomp, 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 that it's like not enough to be inconvenienced to go all the way up to your apartment and cuss you out. It's way more effort. That is way more effort. And it's not like 5:30 in the morning or 6 o'clock or whatever. Even like a 7:30 on the weekend. And it's like the little pounding of like the baby heels to the hardwood floor. I'm not pretending it's making no noise, right? But it's, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want? It's not even like a pet, right? It's not even like a dog or something is like doing that, where it's like people would expect you to go above and beyond to be like, your pet is making this commotion. It's a baby, right? Because even at one point, these miserable fuckers were also babies who walked heel first. And honestly, when babies walk, it's heel only. They're not using the ball of their foot at all. It's purely decorative until they're about 6. It's just heel, 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 heel. It's like the absolute heaviest part of their body. They're just pounding it into the floor. I'm sure it can be loud. But to like feel like you need to spend money to hire a lawyer to change the bylaws through the HOA. Like, they don't even seem like they're trying to go through you. Also, first of all, I do feel like there is some sort of legal precedent beyond the HOA of somebody complaining about the noise, like the footsteps of a baby. What do they want you to do? Like, not let the baby touch the floor? Because here's the deal. They should be teaching more music lessons to make more money to live above you. Sorry, you're living underneath them. That's like not your problem. And I actually don't believe that it matters at this point, because they know you, they know who you are, who's buying and who's renting. You're both living in the same situation. You both have to be respectful of one another, right? And the music lessons out of their home is truly insane. And I think that if they come to your house, you need to pull the same crazy shit. And you need to go, I'm sorry that like you're hearing the footsteps. We can't even hear that he's making the noise, because all we can hear is the fucking trombone and the fucking flute and the fucking baby grand. So we can't even hear the footsteps. I'm so sorry. That's so crazy. Like, I wish that we could be more observant and like hear that, but we can't even do that because the piercing sound of your poor students' short, stubby fingers, I can hear that on the keyboard, on the Yamaha. I can hear your students' short, stubby fingers. Don't stop believing. I've stopped believing. And I don't believe anymore. I don't believe in it anymore. There's got to be another way that we can coexist, because it's not working. because I want to help you. I'm you speaking to the neighbor. I want to help you so that we can have, we can do this. But, for so long, I've been listening to Furelise, right? I've been listening to Pachelbel's Canon. And there's only so many times I can listen to the G flats and the F sharps before, I've lost my mind. I can't even hear my baby pounding his feet on the ground. So, I don't know what you want me to do. But I also have to say, I'm going to say this. There is most likely, if you were to be like super diligent, because it doesn't sound like they want to sue you. It sounds like they want to, they don't even want to sue anybody. They want to just like make a case to go to the HOA to change the bylaws. But even if they were going after you, I almost think that they shouldn't, because there's got to be something against. They are definitely like finding a way around something to teach music lessons out of their apartment, especially if they're making money out of that. Like if they're like volunteering this work, that's one thing. But if they're making money, that's absolutely another thing. Because they could get in trouble for like what they're considering their office space with because if they're making money, they're most likely trying to write off some space in their apartment, right? Or townhouse. I don't know what the setup is, but they're most likely trying to write off some of that space. I've got to tell you, I work with great tax people, and they are very fucking picky about what you can write off and what you can't write off. They are going to be really in for it. Right. Okay. Is the office space that they are claiming that they are writing off, that they give these lessons in, let's say hopefully it's in an office space. Because if it's in the living room, they can't be writing off the living room because they spend time in that living room. This space needs to be dedicated only to work. Oh, you could get these bitches audited. I know it. If they are in an office space, does that office space have a deadbolt? Is it completely separate from the other spaces in the house? I need to know how dedicated this music space is, because it better not be in some communal space. It better not be sitting at the kitchen island, because if it is, we're going to have trouble if you're trying to write that off. We're going to have big trouble. Because I'll tell you something, the law protects a human, but the law does not protect a flute. It doesn't. No matter how hard you try, it does not protect a flute. So I think that the next time they come pounding on the door, you just don't answer. You don't answer. And you scream from the other side of your door and be like, stop giving music lessons. It's a 2-year-old. What the fuck do you want me to do? That you just say that. What the fuck do you want me to do? It's a baby, and I'm trying to teach him to walk as fast as possible. What do you want? He's not going to fly. He's 2 years old. Get the fuck over it. And if you don't want to live in a space where there are other people living, move. Assuming you live in a city, move to the country. Okay? Go somewhere else if you can't handle living with other people. Some people need to learn how to cope too. Some people have awful coping skills. They can't deal with like anybody else slightly inconveniencing them. It's also part of living in a community where things are going to be going on that like won't be perfect to your own peace. Get over it. Suck it up, by the way. Grow up. Some people are so afraid to be uncomfortable for 5 minutes. So weak. I hate people who are weak. I hate people who have like weakness seeping in their bones. It makes me, that is the one thing that I hate about people when they're weak. You're seeing a side of me that, you could only see if I've been awake for 25 hours straight, but I mean it. I've said this to my friends personally. Now you're getting the raw me. That is one thing that I hate when people are weak. I find it so unattractive. It's so embarrassing to be weak. And you can be in control of that. And I'm not even speaking like you just suck it up, never say anything when something's wrong or whatever. But if like you can't look at a situation from another person's perspective and just maybe put yourself in their shoes and see that they're trying to do everything that they can to be courteous of you, but yet you're still finding fault with it, like you're weak because you didn't think outside the box. You're being a baby. And there's nothing worse than being weak. And there's so many weak people out there, including your fucking neighbors. Music lessons out of their home. And then they have the audacity to pound on your door. So insane. Another thing, HOA. I want to talk about the HOA for 1 second. I have my own personal gripes with HOA. I live in a place where there's an HOA. It's always going up, right? That's never a solid price, whatever the fuck that's about. But I have a hot take about the HOA. I know that everyone's public stance when it comes to HOA is that, oh, I hate the HOA. Listen, there's a time and a place for an HOA. And my hot take about the HOA is that sometimes it's a necessary evil. Hear me out. I've seen the way some of you bitches decorate your homes and you go, just a pop of color. Or you go, isn't it pretty like this? And it's really not. And that pop of color is an eyesore. You don't have good taste, right? A lot of people don't have good taste. And so the HOA is in place. It's a necessary evil to keep you in line. So it doesn't look like you live in a free-for-all junkyard, right? It's in place for your own good. Because people can't be trusted. Yeah, are there times when it's just like, we don't need the HOA? Yeah, I don't need the HOA. I have good taste, right? Like, I'm not going to put pieces of shit in my front yard. My front yard is beautifully landscaped because my husband did it, right? He has good taste. Some of you bitches are out here buying garden gnomes and flamingos that stick in the grass, right? And then you're going, oh, wouldn't it be really cute if my porch had a red, pink door? It wouldn't. It actually wouldn't be cute. It'd be timeless. No, there's a time limit on the things that you want to do. It's not charming what you want to do to your yard and to the front of your house. You unfortunately need the guidelines of the HOA. You are the reason the HOA exists because you lack decorum, right? It's one thing to have bad taste. It's another thing to not know you have bad taste and, be upset with the people who are just trying to keep you on God's good path. You're always trying to stray, thinking you have the good ideas, right? No, sometimes it's not pretty. Sometimes it's not pretty, right? Sometimes people need to be told that, like, yeah, you got to mow the lawn. Sorry, not everybody can have, like, mowed lawn and then you decide that you're going to have a wild meadow. Right? Like, sorry. This we can't do it that way. In Europe, because we're here, in Europe, specifically in the UK, they are so specific about the exterior of these buildings, especially the ones that are like 400 or 500 years old, that like you could buy this like gorgeous flat somewhere in London and you'll be like, it's amazing. And there will be so many regulations. And I think like some of them are ridiculous, But like I've seen them like redo and gut buildings, and they will do everything they can to not touch the exterior. So it's like truly like the outside is just built and it's like empty inside. And when I mean the outside is built, it's like there are so many regulations where it's like they can have a brand new, fully spanking new building, but the regulations say that they must keep the original 500-year windows where if you breathe on them, they could crack. That's crazy, right? Like that's a little bit too far. Like maybe, come on. They're spending all that money on a flat in London. Let them get double paned glass. All right, it's not going to kill it. It's what the people who built that building 500 years ago would have put in had it been available to them, right? It wouldn't have been like sugar glass that they use on the Great British Bake Off before they crack into a dessert, right? Like that's the thinness of this glass. So that's really intense, but we're not living in a place like that. In a place like London, we're not living in a place like that. You know, it's doable. Like, don't act like. But again, listen. I think it's a necessary evil because at the same time, I fucking hate the HOA. They think they know what they're doing all the time and whatever and blah blah blah. I'll never be a member of the HOA. Oh my God, if I'm ever a member of any HOA anywhere, take me out to the back of the barn, pull the trigger. I don't even ask twice. Don't ask me to explain myself. I've already done too much. If I ran for the HOA, should run from the HOA. There's just so many things that sometimes they do stuff that you're like, scratch. What? Why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense. And then you keep charging me more. Like, get a grip. Charge someone else. Oh, God. Okay. Let's do a voicemail or a text message. I don't know. Let's do a voicemail. I'm really pleased, everybody. I've got to say, really pleased with the amount of messages. We're doing great. And I love when we have return callers and texters. It's great to get follow up. I love a through line. Okay. Okay. You know me. I hate weakness. Don't be weak. Call in. Please. Okay. Let's go.
Please leave your message after the tone.
Two things. One thing is, I think you should put your phone number on your link tree or link on your Instagram because it kind of took me a little bit to find the number. I mean, I know you announce it all the time on your podcast, but, you know, put it in your bio or something. Just a little tip for you. And then the real reason I called is because I want to get your thoughts on something that happened to me last week where I was driving and I was sitting in a car at red light, and the car in front of me, the person just like threw a like takeout drink cup out of their window, and then like another water bottle empty out of their window. I like literally was so shocked. I did not know what to do. So I beeped at them and I like yelled out my window like a psychopath. But I just want to know, like, what are your tips and what would you suggest to do next time I see that happen? Because to me, that's just insane, unhinged behavior. And I want to have insane, unhinged behavior back. But obviously, it made no difference. Anyways, want to hear your thoughts. Thanks. Bye.
Okay. First of all, phone number in the link tree. That's great. You know, I gotta say, love the constructive criticism because that's a great idea. I say the phone number all the time on the podcast and it's so natural to me. But if somebody else, and I've never thought about it like this, but if somebody else were saying a phone number, yeah, I don't usually gotta, please, I'm on hour 25. I don't usually have like a pen and paper. Oh, let me jot that down. You're right. I need to put that somewhere. I even think that I can put it like in my profile. Okay, working on that. Great suggestion. Next, you saw somebody throw out things from their window. I have to tell you something. I remember the first time I ever saw someone litter. And I felt like I had just watched a murder. It felt that serious and crazy to me. Because never, ever, ever in my life did I ever think it was okay, or did I ever have the urge to go, I just got to throw this away now and like just throw it. Like I thought that was a crazy thing from movies. I couldn't imagine that that was something that happened in everyday, normal human life. And I remember the first time I ever saw it. And let me tell you about it. I was on a field trip. We were going to go watch some play or something. I had to get a permission slip signed to go to this thing. Signed. So I don't remember where we were going or whatever, but I remember that this girl in my class took out a lollipop and she was like sucking on the lollipop and like whatever. And she made it like halfway through. And I don't know, I was just like kind of watching what she was doing with it because I felt like, what is she going to do? Is she going to like wrap it back up and put it in her backpack? Like I was curious to her next move. And when I saw what her next move was, it like shook me to the core. She opened the window up and she took the wrapper of the lollipop and threw it out the window, and then she threw the lollipop out the window. And I looked at her like she had just shot someone in the head. And she looked at me and she said, "What?" And my heart was racing because I was like, the cops are going to be after us any minute. I'm going to tell them. I will rat this bitch out of question. No question whatsoever. Like, the police are coming. I'm going to go, it was her. I still think about that every day because I've never been like so fucking lazy that I couldn't hold onto the trash for like 1 second or for like 2 minutes. It's a weakness. I gotta get rid of it now. You're so weak, right? You were so weak that if like you have so much trash in the car that like you have to get rid of it now. Disgusting. What a foul person you are. And if your car is like that and you don't litter, all right, we will have a word with each other. But right now it's for the people whose cars are like that and you do litter. Filthy. But like, I just think of like, do you not, people who just like don't think about other people or care or whatever. It's so insane, crazy to me. Because, okay, I don't care. I'm just going to throw it out the window. Well, like, then wouldn't you be mad? These are the same people who would be mad driving, seeing like trash in the street and go, oh God, it's just like we live in such a filthy place. Well, how do you think it got like that? From weak people like you. Bottom feeding scum. Music teachers. Who are complaining about 2-year-olds' heels pounding into the hardwood floor. Come on. Get a grip. Get such a grip and throw your trash out in the trash. That's insane. What's like unhinged behavior that you could do in return? There's nothing you can do in this situation. There is nothing you can do. You can lay on the horn, right? And I don't mean like honk. I mean like hold. And there's a difference because someone who holds the horn, I know that they're crazy. Because when you honk the horn, it's like you're trying to, it's like what's the next person going to do? But when you hold the horn, they know that those issues are deep rooted. I'm going to go by. It's going to scare me if we get into it. So that's really my stance on that. That's really too bad because I do, like I said, I remember the first time I ever saw someone litter. And it really, I mean, I don't know. I don't even remember where we were going, but I can like see, I can close my eyes and like see my own like second grade body. It was that it was haunting. And this girl, look, what? What do you mean, what? You just threw a dum-dum lollipop and its wrapper out the bus window. That's what, bitch. We're going back to Our Lady of Peace School, and you just littered. We have a religion test. Don't think God would really like that you threw a fucking, mystery-flavored dum-dum lollipop out the window. How about that? Craziness. Absolute craziness. Yeah, I went to Catholic school, and Catholic school has some rough people going there. They really do sometimes. One more voicemail? How about that?
Please leave your message after the tone.
Hi, Adam. This is Laurie calling in from Los Angeles. I'm calling because I wanted to thank you for the heads up about reading glasses at Daiso. I also need multiples, and I quickly ran to the one near me, which is on the west side in Saltel, basically the other side of the world from you. And while they had some, they really only had the plus 1.6, and then it was a quick jump to 2.5 and 3. So I only had one frame option for the 1.6. So I bought it. It's fine. It's totally great deal. And, I just jumped on that instead of going to another discount store because since I am Asian, I figured they would probably fit my face better. So anyway, thank you for that tip. And another thing I wanted to call about was I just noticed that after your relaunch of the podcast, you kind of glossed over the fact that you renamed the podcast. And I just thought that was strange. And I wanted to hear your thoughts on why you needed to change the name, if Podcast One sort of strong-armed you, or, what happened with the rebrand. Okay. Love your podcast. Thanks so much. Bye.
Okay. Let's nail this message. First of all, you're welcome for the Daiso suggestion, even though it sounds like it was a bad suggestion. And I'm sorry that they didn't have the glasses. Here's the thing. I totally, when you said I'm Asian, I went, me too. And I know I'm not, but I, growing up, had so many, Japanese friends, American Japanese and, from Japan Japanese friends, just through, skating, because skating in, in Japan is really big. And in Southern California, where I did a lot of, my training here, there's a lot of Asian communities and there's a lot of rinks. So there's I was friends with tons of, I had a lot of Asian friends. And so I'd be at their houses. We'd be going to, so I felt like I had the secret codes, and the secret codes where I just knew where Daiso was and I knew what pho was. So, which are two really vital things to know. But I think this is a bad suggestion, but this is my next best good one, is that the next time, if you have family that you visit in Asia, I think regardless of where in Asia, because this cute discount store culture in Asia is no other place in the world, because their dollar store quality is just still top notch, and it's cool, and it's a little bit chic. These glasses that I'm wearing today, they're from Target. Target has okay reading glasses, but they're veering on expensive for reading glasses. Reading glasses are supposed to be a piece of shit, right? I think these were $15 or $20. It's a bit too much for me. I think I'm the $5 range. Even when you go to CVS or Walgreens, sometimes those bitches try to charge you $15 or $11.99. It's not that serious. But when you go to a Japanese discount store, specifically in Japan, it's like 10 pairs for 100 yen, which is like $1. Yeah. You got to save up for that Asian trip to do the Asian haul, I think. And you get it. You're Asian. Like I said, I get it. I absolutely get it. You will know what I'm saying. Save up for that Asian trip. As somebody who is white and not Asian, but who's been to Asia, we're looking at each other eye to eye. And these eyes, and both of our eyes both need readers. And we got to save up for that Asian trip. We're not going to Target anymore. We're definitely not going to Dollar General. I just don't think that they're going to have what it takes. I do need to go to the Dice, so I need to check it out myself. And you're right. The one on the west side is basically, that for me would be like an international trip from the east side of LA. Yeah, I'm going to need to bring a passport and a lunch. It's going to take me that long to get over there. Okay, next. What was the next question? The podcast. Breezing over the name change. Ooh, really just calling me out. Everybody is today. My God. But you know what? I'm not weak, so I can take it. Honestly, I can. But if you guys start calling all the time with just poking and prodding, that'll be too much for me, maybe. But these are great. These are great questions. Let's ask the tough fucking questions, right? Put the phone number in the link tree. All right, done. It's in the link tree. Like I said, I'll look to take that a step further. Next, why did we just breeze over the name change? Okay, here's the thing. This is what my goal was, and this is like great. I love like 52 minutes into the podcast. I'm going to tell like a story now. Whatever. It's my podcast, and they're my intrusive thoughts. Give this podcast 5 stars if you like listening to podcasts. Okay. Here's the thing. I have done other podcasts before. I used to do this podcast with Spring Hill, with my friend Danielle Young, and it was called Normalize This, and I loved doing that podcast. It was fun. And, we got paid to do that podcast. And then, we did it for a season, and that was that. We had a lot of fun. If you ever listen to Normalize This, shout out to you. Real kudos to you. And then a little while after that, I started a figure skating podcast with 2 of my friends. One of my friends who I used to skate with all the time. We used to train together. Her name is Ashley Wagner. And a friend of mine who I met through working for the Olympics at NBC. Her name is Sarah Hughes. And ironically, there is a Olympic gold medalist figure skater whose name is Sarah Hughes. It's not the same one. But we all live in different parts of the country. And so Ashley and I used to see each other all the time. We used to see each other every day when we were training together. And then we kind of like fell out of touch. And we hated that because it didn't feel like we weren't close anymore. But like it was really helpful to have like a scheduled time to talk. And so Ashley had this idea of a podcast of where we would just talk about like the skating events that were going on and whatever. We just shoot the shit. It would just be for fun. And so we started doing that. And I think like we've done close to almost 100 episodes of that already. We've been doing it for almost like 3 years, and it's been like so much fun. And there's been some episodes of it where, we're all busy and we all are doing our own things, where I've just talked on my own. And I'm like, oh, I really liked doing it on my own. And so I had the idea of like, you know what? I should start a podcast that's like, not about skating or whatever. That's about anything, everything, right? It's about the HOA. It's about reclining your seats. It's about staying up for 25 hours and recording across international lines. That's what this is about. We cross borders, right? And we record across those borders, across those oceans. And so that's what we do on this one. And I was like, you know what? Let me just try it out. right? Because I'm a mover, I'm a shaker. I'm willing to give something a go and see if something sticks. Because I'm like, you know what? I really like doing podcasts. It is fun. And I think the first time I did it when it was with Danielle, it was like, you know, an opportunity that like came to us. And I thought, you know what? I will start this on my own and I'll just see what happens and see where it goes. And I told myself, I'm going to dedicate myself to doing 10 episodes. Because if I ended at 10, that's like you gave it a shot, right? Or like you just didn't have time to do it. It didn't work, whatever. Just do 10 and see how it goes. And how I got connected to Podcast One was I had been booked on a show that they produced. And I think they saw that I started doing this on my own. And then they reached out. And we got in contact and we talked. And I was like, you know what? I really want to do the first 10 on my own because I want to figure out, like, before I start working with like a team, I want to know, like, what do I want it to sound like? What do I want it to be about? I was still trying to just figure out like what it was. And so at the time, like the podcast by Adam Rippon, the original name of the first 10 episodes of this podcast, that's kind of just what it was, right? And then while talking about it, while doing the podcast, in one of the episodes, in the really early ones, was like Intrusive Thoughts would actually be such a fun name for the podcast. And so I wasn't strong-armed into it, like, I'm not strong-armed into literally doing anything, okay? I'm going to say a few things about working with a production team. I don't know if they'll even keep this in, but they will. Like, I'm going to like reveal the secrets or something. It's not that serious. I'm going to say this, that when I started it on my own, it was just like I was going on and on and on and on and on and whatever. But when I started doing the show with a producer, I got great like feedback. And, you know, some of the feedback was like, you don't finish any of the stories you start. From like, okay, first of all, fuck off. And second of all, you're right. Haven't finished a story since day one, right? And so I've been really mindful of like, if I'm saying something, finish it, see it all the way through, because not everybody's brain is like working like yours. So working with a producer has been like fantastic. And I have a great producer who works on the show, who is very humble and probably doesn't want me to shout them out. But I have an amazing producer who's also been like really, really great in telling me things that I can do better and improve. Because I've done them and I agree that like I feel like things have improved. I love that I'm saying that like things have improved, like I'm growing so much. And like this episode was truly about nothing. And I'm not going to remember it because I'm going into like an absolute, like the body is shutting down. Oh God, whatever. It's all right. Truly is okay. So, so when we were meeting and we wanted to do like a rebrand, basically like they were just taking over the podcast. It was going to be the same thing, but now I had like a team, and like in this team, what's so great about it is that like, if, we have guests on the podcast, they can help facilitate those like meetings. And there's always like a studio to go to if I ever want to record with somebody. And so, and that's fantastic. And to have like everybody on that team is great. Like that's kind of what I was hoping would happen. Right. So it was kind of the goal. So it was like fantastic, that like within doing that, like 10 episodes, that we found like a home. And when we were just brainstorming on like, okay, are we going to change things? What do we want it to be like? And of course I was like so dedicated to the fucking sound effects, where it's like, if I listen to the first few episodes, I'm like, I do have a migraine headache. So I am, to everybody who listened and like stuck it out for the sound effects, like every other second, thank you. I was excited because I thought it sounded like different. And I thought that I was like so smart, right? And I was, but I was too smart for my own good. And I got a little sound effect happy. But I think every once in a while, like I think they're done so nicely now. Like it's a treat when it happens. And it's like, oh, Isn't that fun that that sound effect happened? And before it was like, can you just turn them off a little bit? That's what happens when you get professionals involved, right? They know better. Sometimes they know better than you. And so one of the things that we were talking about was like, do we want to change the name? And, you know, when they had just been suggesting Intrusive Thoughts, I was like, yeah, I really like it. Like, it feels right. Because I think that the podcast by Adam Rippon was still cute. But I have to say that, like, when I'm talking about it, or, oh, what's your podcast called? It feels easier to tell people, oh, it's Intrusive Thoughts. And honestly, at the end of the day, that's what this podcast is. Or my Intrusive Thoughts. It's just the podcast by Adam Rippon. And I am filled with absolutely thoughts that are intrusive. And so, honestly, the name just felt good. And, you know, it wasn't like new cover art, new whatever. Like, we kept a lot of the same things that, like, I had brought over. You know, the same license-free jingle in the beginning that I've seen in a TikTok Chinese drama. Right, and I go, oh, we got the same sort of license-free sound effect account. That's cool. But hopefully when that Chinese drama comes, which I'm loving those Chinese dramas on TikTok. They're crazy. And if you know, you know. If you don't know, don't look it up. It's not worth it. It's not worth your time. You'll fall down a rabbit hole of like watching truly, absolutely something so monotonous and pointless for 2 hours. And it's just like, yeah, well, like the emperor just never liked his adopted daughter. That's kind of the plot of every single one of these, of like, oh, we didn't know the old lady was actually the billionaire. That's what those are about. If you've never seen them, you're not missing out. Don't worry about it. But yeah, I mean, are you hearing the intrusive thoughts, right? And so I didn't feel like it. It just felt, and also the thing was that like everything was saying the same. Like if you were still subscribed to the same podcast feed, the podcast would just like show up and it would just be a different name. So it felt so similar to me, and it was like within the same vein of everything that I was doing already, that it just felt like, yeah, let's just keep going. Like, I mean, what are you gonna say about it? And now that you've asked me, I can talk about it for days on end. But yeah, so that's why I didn't really like address it. And like I said, I liked the name, the podcast by Adam Rippon. But when I think you're thinking of these names, sometimes when you're like out in the world and you're telling people about things, it does feel better to describe the podcast by the name Intrusive Thoughts. Because then it cuts right to the point. Then whomever you're telling, if they've never listened before, they have a sort of idea of what it might be about. It sounds chaotic. It's probably chaotic. You tell them, is this chaotic or is it not? It is a bit, right? But the podcast by, right? Like if you don't know who I am, then you don't really know what that is or why that is who it was. Any of it. You don't know that. So that's why I wasn't strong-armed into anything. It was a suggestion. I said, yes, let's go for it. And then I sent them all of the art and the photos and everything. And then they have been absolutely amazing to work with. And I feel like I've gotten so much better as a host. I love that. Like I'm saying that as like somebody who's just like here on my own. But I feel like I've improved with my storytelling. Hope so. And I tell such good stories, right? Like I talk about replacing my microwave. And I talk about how, really important things, right? That make the world go round. All right. Anyway, I'm melting. My brain is melting out of my ears. And I don't want you to have to see that. But yes, that's why. No big announcement. So let's just do it now. Everyone, welcome. This is Intrusive Thoughts, the rebrand. Yeah, okay. Now I'm going cross-eyed, but I'm really glad that I recorded this. I am. And actually we record like usually how we do this, Intrusive Thoughts, how we do this is we record like once a week and then we work on that. But I think because this like background is so nice and it's so beautiful here, I think that I might try to record a few episodes here. We'll do them some like evergreen ones, right? Because we have a lot of voicemails, we have a lot of text messages. So don't quote me on that. Maybe we'll do one more. Okay. But if you enjoyed this podcast, formerly The Podcast by Adam Rippon, currently Intrusive Thoughts by Adam Rippon. If you enjoyed, please give us 5 stars. And I'd send a comment down below. I don't know how anything works, by the way. Just I don't even know. I know people can like write a review. I don't even know how to do that. But if you do, you should definitely fucking do that. That'd be amazing. It would also be amazing if you would call or text the podcast hotline. It's 310-909-7117. It'll be in the bio of this episode. And also, I will find a way to put it into my Instagram profile. I do think that there is a way to do that. And at the very least, it will be in the link tree. Order taken. Absolutely. I'm falling right in line. That is a great suggestion. And I'm ashamed I didn't think of it myself. But on that note, from Finland, I'm Adam Rippon, and this has been Intrusive Thoughts. I'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.